Welcome to the 2025 edition of It Stinks right here on the Boom Broadcasting. Congratulations, we made it to 2025. This is the first episode of 2025 of It Stinks on the Boom Broadcasting, so I'm looking forward to it. I had a great holiday. Hope you and yours and your loved ones and your family had a great Christmas, had a great holiday, had a great Hanukkah, a great Kwanzaa, just had a great festival time, and then we roll right into the new year. We danced the night away. We partied. We had a good time. In the famous words of Prince, we partied like it was 1999, but it's not 1999. It is 2025, and that's right. You're here on the Boom Broadcasting, and guess what? So much has happened over the holiday season. Able to catch up on some shows, stumbled across a new show, just so much that we got to talk about. Some trailers were dropped on Netflix that's coming up with some 2025 shows on Netflix that we got to talk about it. I even heard that there's a special guest going to make an appearance today on It Stinks right here on the Boom Broadcasting. Strap on your seatbelt, sit tight. We got a lot to talk about. It's 2025 and I'm ready to go.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
It stinks.
Welcome back. Welcome to 2025, right here on the Boom Broadcasting. Happy New Year to everybody. What a great 2024 we had right here on the Boom Broadcasting. We want to thank all of the fans, all of the content creators, everybody who was able to make Boom Broadcasting a success when we launched last summer in 2024. And here we are now, 6 to 8 months in, 2025, and we don't look like we're getting ready to stop. We're just going to keep giving you more and more content right here on the Boom Broadcasting. But such it is the new year. Here's the question. Have you started on your New Year's resolutions? It's the second day of the new year. Have you broken any? I'm going to tell you about me right here, your guy Shawn, on the Boom Broadcasting, on It Stinks. I don't make resolutions that are hard. I make simple resolutions. Watch more AEW content. That's one I could do. Watch more than what I did in 2024. Watch more WWE content. That's something I can do. Watch more than what I did in 2024. If I kind of slacked off on NXT, pick up on that. If I slacked off on Raw and had to watch it on the next day, try to watch it live. Those are easy things I can do. Hey, here's another one I do. Watch more TV shows. That's something I do all the time. Watch more football. Don't break that resolution because I watch it every week. Watch more basketball. Don't break that resolution every year because I watch it every time it's on the TV, whether it's the Lakers or the Knicks or the Miami Heat or the Minnesota Timberwolves, any team. I'll watch any teams on TV. Watch more college basketball. Well, guess what? Boom Broadcasting. That's another resolution I can't break. I do it every year. I watch every Duke game that comes on TV broadcasting. I watch every Duke game throughout the March Madness tournament. I watch every team in March Madness. I watch teams during March Madness that I probably don't know nothing about. Because I always like watching those little underdog teams sent home, man, when they hit that first 2 points and the score is 2-0, and they're like the 32 seed versus the 1 seed. They got a chance. They can do it. And then the 1 seed goes on like a 40-1 run. So those are the resolutions I make. But I hope if you made some resolutions, you are a little bit more craftier than me and have made some that are a little more tougher to follow. Like, some stuff that's going to make you have to do more work. Mine's easy stuff. Watching TV, watching more wrestling, watching more football, watching more basketball, watching more college basketball, watching more baseball. My stuff is easy that I know I can do. But if you made some, hey, drop in the comment box. Let me know how you go with your secondary resolutions. Have you broken? Have you went to that pantry? Ate those sweets you said you weren't going to do? Did you buy that gym membership that you said, hey, this year I'm going to the gym every day, 3 days out the week, going in and out, clanging and banging, as The Rock would say? If you're doing that, drop it in the comment box. We like to see the resolutions right here so that we can cheer you on. And every time we get a chance on Boom Broadcast throughout the year, we're going to be checking in, hey, how's those resolutions coming that you made on December 31st, heading into January the 1st? Well, It's been a great year. 2024 was such a success right here on Boom Broadcasting. Same thing with Grit and Grind. Such a success, but I'm ready for 2025. And what more can I say than Netflix over the week dropped out some trailers of some up and coming shows for 2025 that yours truly is looking forward to. The first one, Stranger Things Season 5, the final season of Stranger Things. And when I looked at Stranger Things, here's some things I looked at. Season 1 dropped on July 15th, 2016. I stumbled across Stranger Things on accident. One of those shows when it dropped in July, I did not watch it on July 15th. I actually watched it around about August. Didn't hear a lot of chatter about it, but I was watching another movie on Netflix, and of course, when the movie went off, Stranger Things was one of the hot things still playing. It came on, caught my eye, watched the entire season 1. Left season 1, said, wow, this blew my mind. Did not expect this. Thought this would be like one of those science fi shows. You're like, it's okay. It's not The Walking Dead, but it's okay. Left season 1 saying, wow, this blew my mind. Especially when I found out the guys that write the show were right up the street from me in Durham, North Carolina. So that gave me another reason to want to keep watching it after I watched that first episode and did some research. Then season 2 dropped October 27, 2017. Watched that the night it dropped. Watched every episode. Stayed up the entire night from midnight all throughout that whole day watching Stranger Things. Another good season. It's like, okay, didn't think they could top 1, but they did. 2 was great. Good storylines plotted. Then season 3 came July the 4th, 2019. And I remember midnight, July the 4th. I came in that day and started watching Stranger Things because we were off on July the 4th for Independence Day. Had a whole day to watch the entire show. Then went out to the fireworks, enjoyed the fireworks, came back, was talking to people about Stranger Things out of the fireworks. Hey, you seen season 3 of Stranger Things? Man, it was great. I was really into it. Then, of course, they posted came back in 2020 or 2021. But, as we all know, those were the years we went on shutdown due to COVID. So we lost Stranger Things right there. And that's why I said, oh, man, how can 4 be good? But then 4 dropped in 2022 on May the 27th. Another good season. And I started questioning it right there because the characters started getting older. So they phased from kids that was in elementary schools riding bicycles to now kids that's in the 9th grade high school that, and they did very good with manipulating and showing you that, you still can have all the stuff going on for 1, 2, and 3 in 4, but they got to deal with the day-to-day situation what high school kids go with. Lucas went to play basketball. He didn't want to kind of be the guy playing Dungeons and Dragons no more. Gerth went on to hang out with the kids that played the chess club, the AV kids, all that stuff. So you saw that all the characters started kind of going different ways. I forgot my guy's name. He ends up getting a girlfriend. He's not dating 11 no more. Then he's back dating 11. So they were able to intertwine that. So now season 5 is going to drop in 2025, according to Netflix with the trailer they just dropped. And I started asking myself, is it too late? Should they end Stranger Things with the movie and just let it end out and play out on the movie? Well, that's a good question to ask, and I don't know. When you have these shows where you start off with kids, one thing about these shows is they start off great, but the kids got to grow up. Same thing, we saw this with Riverdale. Big Riverdale fan. It was about Archie comics. The cast grew up. So now you got members of a cast that's 25, 30 trying to play 16, 17, 18-year-olds in Riverdale. Same thing with Stranger Things. Now you got kids that's either in high school, graduating, heading to college, trying to go back and play 8th, 9th, 10th graders. It's kind of hard because you're looking at their facial features and you're saying, this person's got to be pushing 22, 23. We can't take them seriously as an 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grader. And you also saw this with other shows where you have cast that's young, that's trying to portray those images. And the one thing I liked about Stranger Things season 1, it reminded me of an old movie back in the 80s I used to watch, The Goonies. That's what kind of gravitated me to it, because it's like The Goonies. The Goonies were going looking for treasure. They were trying to figure out about this upside down world. I don't know if it's too late. I don't feel like it's too late. I'm glad they're ending it. And, kind of like Cobra Kai, when they said the actors now are outgrowing the characters that they supposed to portray on the show. I feel like they're doing great ending it. A lot of things happened. They had COVID. That's why they couldn't drop the season. Had the writer's strike that held back Stranger Things. But we're going to get a season 5. We're going to conclude it, just like Cobra Kai in 2025. They're going to conclude it. And this is going to be it. Not expecting a lot out of this one, just expecting closure out this whole season with the Upside Down world, with everybody who's died, going back, trying to touch all that stuff. That's what I'm expecting this season out of Stranger Things. We'll be talking about that one when it drops right here. But Netflix says 2025 is the year. No date has been put on yet of when it'll be dropping. Now, Netflix also dropped another trailer over the holidays. We are getting a season 2 of probably one of the most beloved shows on Netflix, from high schoolers, middle schoolers, all the way up to grown adults. Wednesday. Wednesday was so good. If you have not watched Wednesday, go back, watch season 1. You will laugh. Because if you go back to my era when I used to watch the Addams Family on Black and White on the Turner Broadcasting Network, TBS, Turner Broadcasting Station Network, or on the Turner Network, TNT, we had the Addams Family at Turner time, starting 5 minutes at 8:05 instead of 8 o'clock. We had Addams Family in Black and White, and Wednesday was a very lovable, sunshine, blue rainbows character. She was always happy. They have flipped the script with Wednesday and kind of made her where she's this to herself, not quirky, but kind of, I'm a loner. I don't need friends. Puzzly, you can be the friendly one. That's not me. I'm going to be to myself. I'm going to march to the beat of my own drum. And that made the show great. Made the show where we truly enjoyed it. So now we're getting a second season of Wednesday in 2025. The first season only had 8 episodes, dropped on November 23rd. One of those ones that I waited because I didn't know how to take it. I said, is it going to be good? I know they kept saying it's going to be a thriller, coming to age, mystery. She's going to be solving stuff. I like, but is it going to be something that can keep my attention? After watching it, I went back and watched it all over again. The whole family enjoyed Wednesday. So we're getting a Wednesday on Netflix in 2025 season 2. That date has not been released. So that's going to be another one. Now, before we talk about a Netflix movie in 2025, we're going to talk about a show that's getting ready to drop this week or first or next week on Disney Plus, Goosebumps season 2. If you watch season 1, it's not the Goosebumps that we had growing up with R.L. Stein and them. It's the same characters out the book, but it's a more of adult thing. We didn't have that stuff on the Goosebumps show. It was more kid-friendly, scary, but not too scary. Stayed in that, not even PG, that G area, so everybody could watch it. Then if you go back and watch the first 2-3 Goosebumps movies, same thing. Same characters, had Jack Black play in it, very good, but it just kind of was G. But when I watched Goosebumps on Disney Plus last year in 2023 around Halloween, as I kept watching, because I was kind of watching it before I would let the family watch it. And a lot of times, that's what we do. I watch some stuff, kind of say, okay, is this kid friendly? We do, have a high schooler and a middle schooler. High schooler kind of watch a lot of stuff I watch. But when you got a middle school, you got to kind of be a little cautious. And I said, is this going to be, something that they can watch? And when I watched this whole season of Goosebumps, I said, wow, this is a very adult thing. And I was shocked that Disney Plus had it, but I forgot. It also streamed on Hulu, who was the major pusher of the show. So it was more of a Disney Plus show, but Hulu was the one pushing it more on their platform to watch it. If you had Disney Plus, you could watch it. So we're getting a season 2 of Goosebumps. I think this one will pick up where it left off at. I was very impressed with season 1. I watched the entire season. I said, wow, even though it had centered around high school kids, it was a lot of adult things that we could kind of relate to of what you see in high school or what you see in college. So it was a very good show. Looking forward to that one for season 2. Now, Netflix said, we're going to raise the stakes. We're going to go back 30 years, back to 1996. And we're going to find a cult film classic and make a part 2. Is it too late was the question. But when I looked at the cast, You get Adam Sandler returning as Happy Gilmore. You're getting Bad Bunny, who's going to be his caddy. You're getting MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, is going to be in the movie. Ben Stiller reprising his role. Christopher McDonald will be Shooter again. It may not be too late. And a lot of people saying 30 years, because I remember when Happy Gilmore came out in the movie theater and I went to go watch it. Then I bought it on VHS. That's right, VHS, not DVD, VHS. Shout out to all the older people who remember VHS. A lot of people probably do. And it was a true, from start to finish, just laughing. It's about a guy who was a hockey player, couldn't make it in hockey, went to play golf, started playing golf, found out if you lose, you still get a check to be able to pay for his hockey lessons to make the hockey team. And it goes on to where he now has a big rival with Shooter, comes on to be the best golfer player and win the PGA tournament. And Bob Barker and a lot of great legends in it. And same thing with this one. I don't think it's too late for this Happy Gilmore right here. I think this Happy Gilmore will be a good sequel. And with Adam Sandler, I learned you don't bet against him. Everything this guy does and touches is going to be gold. You're going to laugh. You cannot name one Adam Sandler movie, from Billy Madison, from Grown Ups, all of them. I can't even. Happy Gilmore. It's so many of them. I can't name them all. What? Chuck and Larry. So many. I can't name all of them. I've seen majority of all his movies. Waterboy, the classic. You can't name one Adam Sandler movie that you cannot sit here and say it was not funny. I think waiting 30 years, I'm scared because I feel like the generation now is going to have to go back to the 96 one to make sense of the two. If you try to watch the two without the 96 one, you're going to be a little confused. But I feel confident that Adam Sandler will have enough comedy in it to continue to make you laugh when you walk away from this movie and say, hey, they waited 29 to 30 years to make a sequel, but the sequel was good. It was good. And I think after this one, cut it. Don't make another one. Let it stay 1 and 2. And that's what I always say about sometimes with franchises and TV shows. When you hit that streak, cut it. Friday after next Friday, Friday, next Friday, Friday next. After Friday after next, they just cut it. They say, hey, we hit the streak. We saw there was so many Ice Cube productions. After 1 or 2, he said, that's it. Let's don't go back and revisit it. I think with this one, with Grown Ups, Grown Ups 1, Grown Ups 2, they cut it. I think with this one, after Happy Gilmore 2, just cut it. We did good. So those are what Netflix dropped and Disney Plus dropped as trailers for 2025 that caught my eye over the holidays. Stay tuned because we're getting ready now to talk about some movies and shows that I watched over the holidays that if you haven't go watch, after watching this, you may want to jump back and go back and hit that button to watch those shows. You are watching It Stinks right here on the Boom broadcast. This is Shawn. You're watching It Stinks right here on the home. It Stinks on Boom Broadcasting. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and give me that thumbs up if you enjoyed today's show. Now, back to It Stinks right here on Boom Broadcasting. Welcome back, friends. And now it is time to talk about some movies and some TV shows that I myself watched over the holiday season that I thought was pretty great. One of them, I told you, I stumbled across it. The other one was one that I had been watching that it was a season 2. So let's start with the one that was a season 2. Over on Paramount Plus, I tuned back into Linus. Now, Linus stars my girl Zoe Saldana. And I'm a big Zoe fan. Highest grossing actor to play in 4 of the biggest movies in the American box office of movies. Zoe played in Avatar, #1. Avatar Way of the Water. She played in All the Garden of the Galaxy, but that's not the 4. The 4 is Avatar, Avatar 2, Way of the Water, Avengers, Infinity Wars, Avengers Endgames. She played in all 4 of the 4 highest grossing movies in the box office. So I'm a big Zoe fan. I feel like she's a good actress. She does good. When I saw that she was going to be playing in Linus 1, and that she was going to play Deputy Director CIA Deputy Director Joe McNamara, I was like, this may not be good. And then I started saying, well, Paramount Plus may have a show good enough where you can get an actress of this good caliber to want to play in a TV series. Then I saw Morgan Freeman was in it. And I said, okay, now we're getting some heavy hitters. You got Zoe, you got Morgan Freeman. Then they introduced some new actors. In the first season, they introduced Elisa de Lasana de Oliveira, who played Cruz. Season 2, they introduced Genesis Rodriguez, who played Captain Josephine Carrero. So I was like, what are we gonna get? Is it gonna be good? Season 1 of Lioness, I'm telling you, was very good on Paramount Plus. That's why they ordered a season 2. Season 1 pretty much had Cruz, who had went into the service, into the army. She was selected by the CIA to be an underformed deep cover agent by going undercover and tapping into this Mexican cartel's husband's fiance to get intel to share back to CIA to make an arrest. Very good. 8 episodes. Every episode, she got deeper and deeper undercover to where she had to start making a decision. Am I in too deep or am I at the right time? At the right time, everything went right. She was able to establish a good relationship with his fiance. She was able to get his fiance to safety, bring the guy to justice, had a little bit of army action in there, some shootout stuff like that with the CIA team. Very good. And I love season 1 saying the star was who it was supposed to be, Lisa de la Oliveira, who played Cruz. But I love season 1 saying, it's good because every episode kept building up her cover as she was undercover. But you got Zoe Saldana, you got Morgan Freeman. They was pretty much starred as the main stars for the show, and they had recurring roles. You saw them every 2-3. Morgan Freeman, I think 3 episodes, 5-minute clips. Zoe was on about every other episode, but you were every episode, but it was in and out. I'm like, is the show really about her or is it about the mission? And at first, when I went back and looked at it again, I said it was about the mission. Every episode they wanted to teach you about the mission as the mission kept building. So now you get season 2. And going into season 2 of Lioness, I said the same thing. You know what it was going to be about. It was going to be about, I thought Cruz would be going back undercover on a new mission. Well, the first couple episodes, they didn't introduce Cruz. They introduced us to a new character who was played by Genesis Rodriguez, who was Captain Josephina Carrero. She was the new Lioness pick to go undercover. Now, here's the catch-22. I said, okay, same show, same setup, same philosophy. How can you change it? Well, this season, we got more of Zoe Saldana and more Morgan Freeman as the chess piece people moving the pieces on the board, setting up these missions operations. One episode, Morgan Freeman goes rogue, does an operation that he does not inform the president about. And he's the Secretary of State. He did not bring in the president, the most powerful man, the commander-in-chief, the most powerful man in the United States of America, who's supposed to know about anything that happens with any type of military warrant strike, anything. He did not loop him in on this. So I said, okay, that was good. We had something to build on that. You had the CIA telling Joe, who's played by Zoe Saldana, that, hey, guess what? You need to come out the field and be more of a person in the office working the pieces from the mission. You don't have to go out in the field with the mission. You can talk through comms through the phone, through the comm stacks to your team. We find out that Genesis Rodriguez was playing Captain Josephina Carrera, that her father was in with his brother. His brother was laundering money. We found all of that out. So all this stuff starts unfolding by episode 4. She goes back to Fort Liberty right here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where they based it out of. And she gets Cruz, retrains Cruz, brings her back to the team, tells Cruz, now I can't deal with her. Captain Josefina Carrera is your problem. You work with her. So now things are getting built. And the one thing I like about this show this season was, just like Avengers: Infinity Wars and End Games, the good guy does not have to win. Sometimes the good guy can take a L. It's what continues on with the story building. One thing we always say, and we talk a lot about on these things, we refer back to WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and wrestling a lot because it goes hand in hand. It's all, a story. Sometimes you want to see the bad guy win because when the good guy is chasing the bad guy, you got something to hold hope on to. But when the good guy continues to win, and the bad guy is continuing to get beaten, you start saying, well, who's going to be the new bad guy to beat this guy? I can't keep trusting this guy to be there. And that's what we got online in season 2. They blew some missions. Season 1, every mission they went on, every undercover mission, it was a military warrant strike. The team won, came back. But this season, on 2 missions, one they completely failed. And I was like, that's okay. Because now it made me tune into the next episode to see what's going to happen when the CIA comes down on the director. And the director that's played by the captain, Director Joe, who's played by Zoe Salandra, has to come down on the team. A team that's her friends. You know, we built this team. You became buddy-buddy with them. We're going to put the whip on you. You need to put the whip on them. That's what I like. I said, it's all right. Then in the last episode, it's set up for a season 3. Now, will we get it? As of right now, we have not had any formal announcement that a season 3 is coming, but you feel like Paramount Plus will renew this for a season 3. The way it ended, it felt like you got to close it. It's got to be some closure. So I'm looking forward to that right there to see if we will get some form of type of closure to Linus season 2. Because at the end, you felt like Captain Joe, the director Joe, that she was lost. Her team was beat up. They barely came out of winning a battle when they went to do an ambush. The cavalry saved them. The 82nd Airborne saved them, but you felt like she was at her last ends with, that this was the last ride. And she kept talking about the whole episode was, I got to go out with a win. I can't go out with a loss. This is the last ride. Let me go out with a win. So you feel like they're setting up a season 3 where she will either come back now and have a higher position in the CIA, or they'll dissolve the whole Black Ops team and start over with a new team. Great show right here. Thought this was one of the ones that were one of the better ones on the TV show. Now, it's time to move on to the next show that I watched. And the next show I watched, I stumbled across it on accident. One of these shows has been out for a while. It's been out for a while. And it's one of those shows that I saw it. I just didn't pay no attention. I tell you, I got an Apple TV subscription, but I barely use it. Only time I really use it is to watch the Charlie Brown stuff around the holiday. Watch a good movie when I hear one's on. And if somebody recommends something on the Apple TV, I go watch it. You know, most of the time I'm watching Paramount Plus, Peacock, Netflix, Hulu, all other stuff. And I barely really get Apple TV. But here's the reason how I found this show. I watched something on Prime. And then Prime recommended me to watch this show. Well, knowing when you watch something on Amazon Prime, you're only going to get one episode if you don't have the subscription. So I just said, instead of me watching the first episode, then having to go to Apple TV to watch the second, third episode, I just watch all on Apple TV. I watch the first one if it's good. I continue on if it's bad. Hey, I lost an hour. Can't get it back. But I'm telling you, what did we find here? And the famous words of one of my good friends, what have you done? And they also said on the Inside Out, what have you done? We found a show on Apple TV that if you have not watched, you need to stop right now. Go to Apple TV, get a subscription if you don't have it, to watch this show because it's that good. To me, this show is on the level of From. It keeps you on your seat. It builds you up and take you on a roller coaster ride that you cannot get off. And this show is called Silo. If you have not watched Silo on Apple TV, pause the show right now. Go watch Silo and pick right back up where we're at and finish talking with me about it. Silo, not even going to spoil it. Just a synopsis of the stories. You got so many great actors up there. Rebecca Ferguson, you got Common the rapper, you got Tim Robinson, you got Chizana Ushi, all these good actors on this show. And it was one of these shows that when I saw it, I'm like, I don't want to watch this. But it's based off a book series. And the synopsis of the show is the world is not safe. And the founding fathers of the Silo have built an underground bunker for people to live in. And the day-to-day, everybody plays a critical role in the bunker. Whether you're on level 32, which is called the top echelon, the penthouse of the bunker, or you're on level 1 at the grunt, everybody has a job. Everybody plays a role for the success of the silo. You have a mayor. You have a mayor pro tem. You have a judge. You have somebody who's kind of like the director of the military. You have the military, the Raiders. Common plays Sims, who's the director of the military. You have all of these things going on. You got mechanics that makes the engineering of the silo go to produce energy so that people have energy. You have the garbage collectors. You have the janitors. You have the cafeteria workers. You have the supply people to give you supplies. Every job you can think of in the silo plays a critical record of the silo staying afloat and going every day. It's pretty much a city government and a city in your silo. And they can't go outside because it's not safe. And they give you so many false hopes and illusions that people feel like maybe the founders of the silo have been tricking us that we can go outside. Maybe it is safe to go outside. Well, you learn from the sheriff as she goes on her journey throughout this show, season 1 and season 2 now, of where things are at to find out, is it illusion? Is it real? Is it sunshine and rainbows? Have the founders been lying to us? Or were the founders telling the truth and it's not safe to be outside? I would highly recommend this show to anybody. If you are a watcher from The Walking Dead, any type of show, if you like the Maze Runner series, read those books, or watch the Maze Runner series movies, you have to watch The Silo on Apple TV. Not a lot of action like you would get in your Chicagos and your FBIs and your Lioness, but a lot of thinking that makes you start thinking as you're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, because you're trying to help Rebecca, who's the sheriff, put the pieces together because she got appointed. She was an engineer. She was at the bottom of the silo, engineer who got promoted to the sheriff. So now she's on the 23rd, 25th floor of the silo, living with the judges and all the mayors of them. And she's still using those tactics she learned and skills she learned on the bottom floor, level 1, as an engineer of pretty much keeping the power running in the silo, to be using it as a sheriff. Great show. Don't want to spoil no more about it. I could talk about every episode because it just blew my mind, but I would encourage you to go back. Watch season 1, jump on season 2. We only got 2 more episodes of season 2. The new episode will be dropping, I think, this Friday night, if not next Friday night. So definitely go back now and watch it. Binge watch it all the way through so that you can be ready when the new episode drops. Now, our last thing we want to talk about right here on It Stinks before we get out of here is the tradition. There's always a tradition with everything you do. You keep your tradition. Some people have family traditions. Hank Williams wrote a song about, if I get stoned, it's just a family tradition. Some people have other traditions. But the tradition we want to talk about is one that you cannot break. And that is what we saw happen when this tradition was broken this week. Well, not this week, but during the holidays on Christmas. And that tradition was, for the first time ever, on Christmas Day, we just didn't have Christmas basketball. We had NFL football along with this. But before we talk about that, let's see what a good friend of mine, a special guest, has to say about a time-honored tradition and what to do when you're facing a situation where a time-honored tradition is upon you.
Mr. McMahon, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me here today. And I just have to say it's an honor to be on Boom Broadcasting. I remember when I was watching on the YouTube one night after SmackDown, and I remember stumbling across Boom Broadcasting Network. So it's truly an honor to be on Boom Broadcasting today. And since I've been in retirement, you can see I've been spending a lot of time at the tanning booth. My naturally orange glow now is a little shade darker. The gray hair I had, I dyed it black. Yes, cause I wanted to continue to look young. But I have to say, the gentlemen on Boom Broadcast, all the people that are doing content up there are doing a great job. I remember stumbling across the nightcap and hearing a guy named Mouthing Off with Mike, I recall, talk about a spinning belt. I said, oh, I invented the spinning belt. This guy knows what he's talking about. He's a very smart guy. Then I remember hearing a guy call himself the president of Boom Broadcasting, who has podcasts talking about wrestling that I checked out also, talking about how he went to school wearing Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 t-shirts. I said, hey, that's a pretty smart guy. I myself wore Austin 316 t-shirts. Then I remember hearing a guy named Wayne the Model who said he's starting to watch AEW more than he watches WWE. And I myself find myself down in retirement watching AEW. Who you think sent Shane to meet Tony Khan? I was the genius behind it. Then I recall a guy named the Professor, Podcast Smitty from Quick Hits, talking about how wrestling was the ultimate gentleman's sport. And I had to say to myself, well, that's a pretty smart guy. Because wrestling is the ultimate gentleman's sport. It is a gentleman's sport. It is. Who do you think created the gentleman's sport? It was me, the break child. Then I remember a guy named Shawn talking about the good old days of wrestling. Who do you think brought the good old days to wrestling? It was me. I was the creator of Hulkamania, Andre the Giant, the Ultimate Warrior, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret the Hitman Hart. That was me. I was that guy. I was the brainchild of The Undertaker. There was not an Undertaker before me. It was me. So I'm glad to be here today talking about a time-honored tradition. And you guys know what a time-honored tradition is. We talk about it all the time. It's about when it's time to pass the belt on to somebody else. And we don't need to revisit the Montreal Screwjob. You know I was the creator of that. It was a time-honored tradition for Bret the Hitman Hart to pass the belt on to the new champion Shawn Michaels as he's departed. We know the story. There's no reason to go down there. But it's a time-honored tradition that every superstar does. And just like with Christmas, Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, they're all time-honored traditions. Thanksgiving, you're given football. We watch our Detroit Lions play at noon. We watch the Cowboys play. We watch all the teams play on Thanksgiving. They play football. We eat turkey. We eat ham. We have a great time with our family and loved ones. Then Christmas rolls around. You open up presents with your family. You're watching the Christmas Story on that other guy's channel, who we won't mention, the other guy, Billionaire Ted. You're opening their presents, watching the Christmas Story, and then you flip over to ABC, ESPN, who I'm affiliated with, that you don't know, and you watch basketball. You don't watch football. You watch basketball on Christmas. Then you go all the way to Memorial Day. And the Sunday before Memorial Day, I, Vince McMahon, give you now not known as the XFL no more, but the UFL. You get spring football. But then on Monday night, on Memorial Day Monday night, give you Monday Night Raw. Now, Netflix, it's a time-honored tradition that you don't want to alter the balance of the ecosystem of television. We have all discussed these things. We all know our rules. We all, as The Rock would say, we know our role. Thanksgiving is football. Christmas is basketball. Memorial Day is Monday Night Raw. The Sunday before Memorial Day is UFL, football. Why would you want to change the balance of the harmony and put football on the NBA's day? But I tell you one thing, Netflix. If you want a war, Vince McMahon and my good friends at the NBA will give you a war. I will give you Survivor Series on Thanksgiving night. But why would I want to do that when I can give it to you the week before on that Saturday as I've done every year? But if you guys want a war, by golly, we'll give you a war. because you don't put football on Christmas Day. That's like putting football on WrestleMania. Putting basketball on WrestleMania. You don't do it. So I'm going to tell you this right here. LeBron James already warned you that Christmas is our day. Netflix, if you want a war, we'll give you a war. I'll get with my executives at the NBA, and we will give you Thanksgiving that you'll never forget. We'll give you wrestling and NBA all on the same day. Because I can do it because I'm Vince McMahon. You never want to cross the boss. The Rock says he's the final boss, but I am the boss when it comes to networking television. Well, that's enough about that. Now we'll take some questions from the great people who came out for this interview today to discuss this situation with Netflix. You look like a very smart person out there. Do you have a question for Mr. McMahon?
So, Mr. McMahon, you are aware that CM Punk was at the Steelers game. And yeah, he was at the Steelers game. Did you not watch it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
That Raw will debut on Netflix on January 6th.
Now on USA on Netflix?
Yes, it's going to be on Netflix now.
Oh, God. Cut the camera off. Cut the camera off right now. Cut the camera off. Cut it. It is transmission. It is. We just heard from Vince McMahon, who was not aware that Phil, CM Punk, was at the Steelers game for the Netflix Christmas game, and that Raw will be debuting on Netflix the first Monday of 2025 for a 3-hour spectacular show. But tradition has to be broken. And I know if you or me, I was upset when I first found out that Netflix was doing this, because growing up all my life, it was Thanksgiving football, and Christmas basketball. That's been the story of my life. High school basketball, Christmas tournaments that night, going out to those. That's been the story of my life for over all the years I've been on this earth. But Netflix decided to pull a wild card and decided to put football on Christmas. And Netflix right now is dabbling. They're dabbling because they're getting ready to become the new outlet for a lot of things, where pay-per-view and premium live events were paying to have these events. Netflix saying you can host it right here on us. They already gave us a boxing match with Tyson versus Jake Paul. They gave us that. Now they're giving us a football game on Christmas. They're giving us a live Raw show on Monday nights. Netflix is heading that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you look at the numbers of what they did versus the NBA, 24 million viewers tuned into the Kansas City Steelers game and the Ravens-Texas game. We got a halftime show with Beyonce Carter, Miss Beyonce, during the Texas-Ravens game. Most of the time, we don't get a halftime show unless we're watching the Super Bowl, because you don't get it during the Pro Bowl. It's the Pro Bowl. You don't get it. You only get it during the Super Bowl show. Every now and then, opening night, Hall of Fame game, you may get a concert. But Netflix went all out. Now, 5.2 million people watch Christmas basketball. I myself started with Christmas basketball. It's nothing like watching the Knicks at Madison Square Garden on Christmas Day after you open up gifts and the food's cooking in the kitchen. And you can smell the food cooking. The Knicks are playing. You got that defense, defense, defense. You got all that going on in the house. You're ready. But when it got about 1:15, I found myself hitting that button. And people are upset. A lot of people I talk to who are true NBA basketball fans were upset that Netflix did this. I myself am not, because I like both sports. Now, I would lean more to football than watching basketball, because I'm a football guy. I like football. I play football. I love high school football. I like it. But a lot of people who watch the NBA that are true basketball fans were mad about this. I feel like Netflix did the right thing. They gave us a choice. If you want to continue tradition and watch your Christmas basketball, you got it. If you want to continue start a new tradition by watching Netflix football on Christmas, you got it right here. And Netflix could have gave us the easy way out. They could have said, hey, we're not going to push. It's year one. We're not going to push. We're going to find and give you the Carolina Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A blowout game. We saw that. Buccaneers blew out the Panthers. No knock on both teams. They could say we're going to give you that. They couldn't give you Philly and the Cowboys because whether it's going to be a blowout, which we saw was by Philly, but it's a game that everybody's going to tune into. They could have gave you a Cleveland Browns versus the New York Giants, or New York Giants versus the Indianapolis Colts. Flacco was playing, and you had Drew Lock for the Giants playing. They could have gave you that. And more people would have stayed with Christmas basketball, but they said, no, if we're going to do it, we're going to give you 4 teams that are playoff-bound teams, historical franchises, good stars, Hall of Famers, Hall of Famer coaches, all in one. Steelers, Mike Tomlin, coach for Steelers, Hall of Famer. Russell Wilson, starting quarterback, Hall of Famer. Patrick Mahomes, future Hall of Famer. Andy Reid, Hall of Famer. Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. Derrick Henry, an MVP once before. C.J. Stroud, the changing of the guard with quarterback with the Texans has saved the franchise. All of this stuff played into it. Netflix said we're going to do it right. It's nothing wrong with friendly competition. You got to push the limits sometimes and break the tradition. Yes, at first I was upset because I had to turn for the Knicks, and I enjoy watching the Knicks play basketball on Christmas. But one thing I can say to the NBA, we don't need 5 games on Christmas Day. That's too much. You got a noon game. You got a 3:30 game. You got a 5:30 game. You got an 8:30 game. You got a 10:30 game. We don't need all of that. You can find a happy medium with the NFL and have this where you can have 4 teams play, 2 NBA, 2 NFL. You can start an early game. You can do that noon game with the Knicks. That's a tradition. You can do that. It goes off around 2:30. You can roll in now football right there at 3 o'clock. Roll over to Netflix. That game goes off at 5:30. Stay right there on Netflix. Now you got a 6 o'clock kickoff. That game rolls, baby, to 8:39. Now you can play that West Coast game with the Lakers, with the Warriors, with the Suns, with the Timberwolves. Any one of those teams, you can play them at that 9:30 spot and just roll all day. We don't need 5 basketball games on Christmas Day because I feel like with them getting 24 million viewers to watch both of these games, Christmas football is upon us and it's not going nowhere. And I know LeBron James said it. NFL, I love you guys, but Christmas is our day. It's our day. I'm sorry, LeBron. It's been a changing of the guard. And right now, football is the most watched sport with America. And I know baseball still everybody's favorite pastime sport. It is. But you got to ask yourself, baseball game on and a football game, not unless you are a diehard baseball person that's, in the books, keeping up with the RBI, keeping up with the home runs, keeping up with all of this stuff. You going to watch a baseball game over a football game? Probably not, because you're going to want to watch football. Football is action. It's hitting. It's passing. It's running. It's all this stuff. I feel like the NBA now has been privileged that the NFL did not try this. And you better believe for Netflix to pull this off, they put some money out. Some money was put out there. You had Beyonce in a concert, number one. Beyonce ain't coming for no cheap price tag. We talking some good money. Not unless it's a charity event where they're raising money, where she would do it probably. But for that right there, we paid some good money. The NBA is just going to have to adapt. They're going to have to let go of the 5 games. And I know ESPN took a hit that day on viewership because ESPN depends on Christmas basketball because everybody tunes in and you just let it run all day long. Or you watch on ABC, let it run all day long. They took a big hit because those 2 games pulled a lot of people away. Because I remember after the first game, which was Kansas City and the Steelers, I jumped on the road because you had that little 30, 45-minute window to travel. So we traveled down to the in-laws' house. And when I got there, I said, hey, what do you want to watch? They said, well, what we got to pick from? So we got Texans, Ravens, or you got Boston and the 76ers. And don't get me wrong, the Boston 76ers game was good. I had it on the phone. So, I had it playing because I got a homeboy that likes the 76ers. So, I wanted to jaw jack a little bit, talk a little trash. So, I wanted to be able to talk accurate trash to him. So, I had to have something playing. But you know what was on the main TV? Texas and Ravens. And it ended up being a blowout. And I told him in the fourth quarter, this game was tied going to the fourth quarter with the 76ers and the Celtics. I said, hey, let's turn to this game. Watch the fourth quarter. It's the third quarter of this game. When the fourth quarter ends, go back to football. And they said, absolutely not. Don't touch the remote. Shawn, keep it on football. We'll catch basketball later on. We'll watch on ESPN. We'll watch the highlights tonight. But we want to watch football. So what I ended up doing, telling them, hey, this game's getting good, man. They're coming. Hey, Celtics were down. They're coming back. They just went on 8-point run, 8-0 run. I'm watching football, but I got the phone. Hey, this is it. No, keep it on football. NBA is going to have to step it up. They're going to have to cut 3 of these games next year for 2025. Bottom line, they're going to have to cut it. Netflix now is becoming a game changer with this stuff. And now with them dabbling more into live sporting events, you're going to see more people now having those boxing matches, UFC, MMA matches on Netflix. And Netflix did not crash. You remember everybody complained about the Tyson-Paul fight because it kept crashing, or either you were so far behind from the lagging that my boy over in Arizona was on round 3. We were still in round 1 doing just get out of introductions. They found a way not to make it lag. With 24 million people watching, they did something right because my streaming did not lag one time for both games in 2 different locations with 2 different speeds of internet. Over here, I got the fastest speed you can have. The other location, they got just the normal speed you need. It did not lag. NBA, I'm going to say it again. They're going to have to revamp, rethink. I know LeBron kind of gave them the here, stay in your role, know your role. Vince just said it, know your role. Shut your mouth, NFL. But I think the NFL said for this experiment, it went very well. I won't be surprised if next year you see Kansas City playing again. You may see Philly playing. You may see whoever wins the Super Bowl playing. You can see the Packers playing, the Vikings playing, the Detroit Lions playing. San Francisco, if they're back hot, they could be playing that day. It's so many teams. Chicago, hey, if they get going, they could be playing that day. It's so many teams that they can put in for a game on Christmas Day now, and Netflix is going to roll with it. This may not be the end of this. We may just be beginning to see the changing of the guard, where now you start asking yourself, does the NBA don't do Christmas basketball, do Christmas Eve basketball where they play on the 24th now on Christmas Eve so everybody can watch those games and give the NFL Christmas Day? Because you don't want to give them the 26th because, now you're starting to get in the bowl games. Those bowl games start after Christmas that weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes you may have one play on the day after Christmas on that 26th, 27th, one of those pre-early bowls. So you don't want to get on that day. So will the NBA kind of submit and go to Christmas Eve and say, hey, we're going to give you Christmas Eve basketball. Everybody's off work, but some people are not off work on Christmas Eve. Some people are working Christmas Eve. It's just something I want to see next year. I want to see what happens. I want to see what happens over the span of the next 3 to 5 years because I don't think Christmas football is leaving us. I think Christmas football is here to stay for the remainder of my life, your life, and the people after us lives. Football will be played on Christmas Day now. This is Shawn. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of It Stinks right here. It is 2025. Once again, Happy New Year. We appreciate you for tuning in and watching It Stinks this week. We will be back next week, better than ever, talking about more TV shows. And we'll also be talking about how did Raw do on this new platform, Netflix. That first week, we'll be talking about all that on It Stinks that week. This is Shawn. I'm signing off, and we'll see you next week, better than ever, right here on the Boom Broadcasting.